We'll get going with today's meeting, Thursday the 25th. And the agenda called to order. Public comment on non-agenda items.
Oh, so it's done.
Nope. All right. The review and approval of meeting notes from December 14, 2017.
That's
Any comments, any changes, modifications? You hear motion to approve the meeting notes from December 14.
so moved.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Information items, superintendent presence update. I hope you all had a wonderful year and you're looking forward to another great year. You saw the governor's budget in January, and I'm going to start my report with the governor's budget. It was a shocker, as Dr. Storti will tell you, when that report came out. Pasadena City College and city colleges of San Francisco were singled out. Suddenly we went from 100% funding to 50% funding, matching 50% from the college. Match 50% match only on,
Context that for them, they think we're getting only 50% of all of our money right now.
no, for the building, of the U building, 50% of the U building. All right, and
Sheila was having a heart
it's
attack.
50% of that, and 50% of the amount initially asked for. That would be $60 million or so, and 50% of that is $30 million. Right. In the meantime, the costs have gone up by about $7-8 million,
Correct.
which means that we will need $38 million to complete the building. And on top of that, the state requires that no modifications be made to the building, that the building is a like for like. So this puts us in a very difficult situation. We only learned of that 2 weeks ago. We will be making a recommendation to the Board of Trustees for the February 21st, February 21st meeting. And at that point, the board will either approve our recommendation or reject our recommendation. So we do not know what that recommendation is going to be yet, because we have to do our due diligence, collect all the data, right? And then based on that, we're going to make a recommendation to the board.
Outside of the 30 million, the increase, is that projected out or is that current real time?
Real time.
So it could go up?
It could go up, yes.
Okay.
It could go up,
Okay.
yes. Okay. And for those of you who are on the board meeting yesterday, you heard Trustee Martin made a comment about the exterior of the building, about perhaps that it's not really the Pasadena City College's exterior, right? Even though the Center for the Arts building is very divergent also. But as Dr. Storti explained, that's how it was presented to the state 6 or 7 years ago, and no changes are allowed. So that's where we are. Let me give you some better news. You all know that we've been working very hard with PUSD at the John Muir High School. We've asked to take over that one building, and at one point, yes, they were giving us the building and so on, but then they took the building back because they had a new principal at John Muir, and the new principal wants to build enrollment by keeping the band and the cheerleading program. And so we could not take the building, we could not offer classes during the day, right, because there is no separation between the two buildings, right? I have worked with the superintendent and the board president. I worked with our board, and I made some suggestions to our board, and our board gave me the authorization to move forward. This morning I made an offer to the PUSD. We will pay them rent of $150,000 a year, and we will invest about $600,000 or so to renovate the building. The building will be entirely ours for a 15-year lease, 15, right? And then we will renegotiate the lease at the end of the 13th year for another period of time. So they were excited about it. They will love it, and they have already asked to work with us, and Dr. Stort is representing the district in drafting the agreement as to what kind of infrastructural changes we will be making in the building, so that after that, Dr. Juni, Dr. Olivo, and the instruction and student services side of the house will be working with the district on the implementation of the cooperation between PUSD and the district. And I've also, based on the advice I received from our Vice President for Instruction, Dr. Juni, I have made a commitment to them that we will help make the middle college a success. Okay? So I think we're moving in the right direction. PUSD is excited. Their board doesn't know yet, so they think the board will be excited, and our board is excited about it because we are working with our community. Just as we have done something great in the southeast, we're doing a similar one in the northwest. And after I'm gone, hopefully you will continue with that and something will be happening in Arcadia. Yes, sir.
What is the 600,000 look
Well,
like?
you have to make changes to the building, just as we, at Rosemead, we invested close to, I think, $750,000 or so.
Right, but is it a ballpark estimate, or do we actually have a,
It's a ballpark estimate. Perhaps we may run over a little bit or go under a little bit, because the condition of that building is not bad at all. It's just a matter of making some technology infrastructure changes and maybe putting some ramps to be ADA compliant. And since we will not be making any major modification to the building, so those ramps don't have to be an integral part of the building. They could be the movable ramps that you. What are they called? What are they called?
Well, probably aluminum ramps as opposed
Yes,
to actually
things like
building
that.
concrete.
Yes. So, of course, our architect will figure that with us, right? And maybe some other minor changes inside the building, so that we can offer the classes that we offer during the day there, right?
Yeah, and I mean, to be a little bit more specific, I mean, currently there are 3 classrooms that have been renovated, furnished, with classroom furniture as well as technology
Right.
that we use in that building. There are the potential of 11 more that need to be basically, if you know, probably paint, furniture, technology, and the like. But the idea is that both the non-credit as well as the credit program will utilize it. The PUSD has recently received a grant to develop a middle college that we are
Right.
partners with them on. And so the opportunity for us to grow dual enrollment there, but also to help them in the development of that middle college are things that will be happening there. And Dr. Bell actually is quite excited because he has visions of way that we can
Right.
expand the non-credit programs in that facility as well. So
Okay.
this is all good.
2 more things that I want to share with you. One, since you mentioned Dr. Bell, I just want to emphasize the fact that we have been working with Sing Poly Corporation that owns Constance Hotel, and they do also own several restaurants, high-end restaurants in downtown LA. And they're having difficulty getting staff, hotel staff and restaurant staff. So we've reached an agreement with us where they are funding us, they are giving us $30,000 to create the courses, to work, to get students that would be interested in taking those classes, and then they will be interning with Constance Hotel and their restaurant, right? And already we've started that, and we received the check 2 days ago. We received a $30,000 check, and we have 15 students already in the pipeline, and those 15 students under Elaine Chapman's contract work will be are receiving training right now, and we do expect them to start their internship with St. Pauli Corporation by March the 1st. Our ultimate goal is to have those courses that are right now under contract education, have them written and submitted through non-credit, go through curriculum so that we can have certificates that and later on become credit and move towards degrees in hospitality management.
And,
So-
and if I may just add,
Yeah.
that's one of the tremendous pluses of having a community services not-for-credit program,
Right.
because we are indeed able to incubate many programs. We still have processes, procedures, everything must be in place,
Mhm.
but that allows us to move with alacrity, get something in
Yes.
place, show its worth and its value,
Mhm.
especially to our students, and this first group
Right.
is so excited, and then, of course, move it into the credit division.
Very
So,
good, yeah, so.
it's very
and-
good, or non-credit,
Right,
so.
and the last thing I wanted to share with you, Evita, I mentioned that to you before, stop me. We have worked with the foundation is okay with it, and it's already on our website now. You know that the new funding formula will have 25% of funding based on completion, successful completion, performance-based funding, 25%, right? So what our foundation, I guess, had that foresight as we worked with the foundation to do that. Our Pasadena promise is now focused on completion. And we announced that before the budget came out. If you are a graduate of any of the high schools in our district and you have 30 degree applicable credits, and you come to PCC, regardless of where those credits are from, they can be from Glendale, Citrus, anywhere they want. But if you graduated from any one of the 16 high schools of the district, you have those 30 degree applicable credits, and you come to us, you make the commitment of taking 2 semesters, 12 units per semester, we will cover your expenses. You can take more than 12 if you want. We will pay for it. Because that will help us with the new funding formula, focus on completion. Right? So this concludes my report. If you have any questions, I'll be very happy to answer them for you. All right. Academic Affairs Update, Dr. Judy.
Okay, thank you. So a couple of things. The good news first. So there.
That they're bad news too.
Let's start with good news. I'll probably have a little bad news. We currently are flying 20 full-time faculty positions. Those all close around the middle part of February. PCC will have a strong group of representation at the
Yes.
Community College Job Fair this Saturday. I'm excited about that. That's a great event. And so we'll have the opportunity, obviously, to reach out to people looking for those positions, and there will be representation there for all of the positions that are being flown. So we're excited about that. I also wanted to announce, you're probably aware, but there were the sabbatical leaves for 2018-2019 approved by the board last night. I had counted and then I lost count. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, a total of 10. And those, all but one of those are year-long sabbatical. One is just fall of 2018. So
You do realize for the sabbatical that we've approved every single one. We have our cutoff, we've increased the number to 3%, right? Is that what it is?
that's correct, a 3% cutoff. Right.
Even though usually we do 2%, Mr. Whitworth, just let the faculty know that we have gone with the higher number for sabbatical approval.
But 2 were denied.
Huh?
Two
Well,
were
that we
denied.
didn't deny them, it was the committee that denied them. That's
2
not
were
us.
denied.
We
So
didn't
it wasn't
deny it.
100%, 2 were denied.
Right. The numbers, the names that were submitted to us by the committee, we approved them all, right? The board did not deny anything.
Okay.
Okay, the denial was done by the committee, consisting of faculty and staff, all right? So I think we need to emphasize that, right?
So the not so good, well, still the good news. Winter is proceeding along. the winter of 18 is successfully larger than winter of 17. We served approximately 1,000 more students than we served last year's winter. From the standpoint of FTS, we will generate, and I don't have all those numbers obviously because positive attendance isn't in yet, but we'll generate somewhere in the order of 75 to 100 more FTS this winter than we did last winter. Spring, not so good. Currently, the enrollments at spring, if you're looking, depending on how you measure, and so if you measure by fill rate, we are at 76.3% as of this morning. And the reason why that is a concerning number, because at the same point in time last spring, we were at 82.8%. So we're behind.
We had a smaller schedule last year.
We had a smaller schedule. The schedule last year had 365 fewer seats, so not much
Not
smaller.
much smaller than.
Right, so you can't blame it on that.
No, I know.
Nice try, though.
Yeah.
And so measure, rather than percentages, measure by actual numbers. We are 5,100 fewer enrollments at this point in time moving forward. And
Okay.
so and so that is a significant number. That head count wise, we're almost 1,500 head counts lower than we were at this time last year. And so the estimates that I'm doing at this point is that I'm estimating that we'll be somewhere between 300 and 600 FTS less from spring than we were last spring. And if you put that into the total package, it means for us to achieve base plus growth, our summer.
Let's just go with base.
Well, so let me do base plus growth
Okay.
first, because I have that number right in front of
Okay,
me.
all right.
For us to achieve that, we will need our summer to achieve around 1,200 FTS. That's not impossible. Last summer, for the previous year, we used about 740 FTS. And for this year,
Right.
we had around 2,100 FTS. And so if you add that all up, we could generate 1,200. That wouldn't be good, though, because that would put us in a hole
For the following year.
going into the following year. And so just for base, basically what that means is instead of needing 1,200, we would need about 1,000. And so
Okay.
it's not
Right.
a lot better, but it's a little bit better. But obviously, that will be a consideration that we'll have to be looking at is, it may be that we're just going for base at this point in time. So some of what's happening right now is that deans are looking at their enrollments. That we have a wait list, obviously, so there are student demands that we're not meeting. And so I've asked them to look at low enrolled classes, and if it looks like they don't have a chance of making, that they need to start canceling those classes. And then, and the idea then is to provide rooms that would allow us to then add higher demand courses. And so, and if you're watching that, I do, about earlier this week, there were addition of about 15 more classes that were added. Those are happening mostly in English and math. But at this morning, there were about 9 classes that were canceled. And so we're basically in that game right now where we're eliminating low enrolled classes to basically provide the resources to add the higher demand classes. And so our hope is that as we do that will close some of that gap in enrollments. And then the other thing I would say is that over the last couple of weeks, the rate of enrollment each day was in the 200, 300 range in enrollments, but the last 3 days it's been about 500, 600 students. So it's
that's
actually,
good.
as the winter draws to an end, students are starting to think about spring a little bit more, and more of them are enrolling. And so I'm hoping that trend continues. And I look at Dr. Olivo as I say that because of, obviously there's certain aspects here, our outreach to the community to get people to come in, and Dr. Olivo and I have been working with the marketing office basically and nudging students
Well, light a fire
in
under
various
them
ways.
to make sure that they start advertising.
Well, they have,
Oh,
they
good.
have
Okay,
been,
very good.
they have been. I mean, there are a lot of efforts that are going on. Obviously,
Yeah.
Dr. Legal will
All
talk
right.
to us more about it. And so we're working together as a team to try to
Yeah.
get more students in. And so,
Right.
so yeah, the numbers don't look good,
Now,
but we're
let
doing what we can
everybody
to improve those.
realize one thing here. The implications of not meeting base are very serious. The first year, we will be held whole, right? That's stabilization, right? Is that what it's called?
Yes.
Yes.
But then, the year after that, you could see your base go down. And once your base goes down, that becomes your new base, and you'll have less money. Right? And the way you look at it, you could look at the good side of it or the bad side of it. And I don't think there's any good side of it. Everything is bad in the sense that now your fund becomes smaller. If your fund becomes smaller, then you may have vacancies or retirements in some areas of high demand. But the college will not hire. Because the obligation number will be higher, will be lower than the number of full-time faculty the college has. Even though you may say, well, I don't have anybody to teach mathematics. But our fund, let's say the fund is 400, and we have 420 people on staff already. Well, too bad. We already have 20 people more on that. So we're not hiring. Go get part-timers to do the job. All right? So that could be a danger. So it is very important that we all work together to make sure that we get those number of students, right? I mean, we will work very closely with the faculty association to see how we can encourage students to come to classes and have faculty maybe take some more students, right? Is that correct, Dr. Jones?
We will work both with the association and the academic senate
All right.
to get the word out.
Very good.
Faculty can very much be involved in helping, I mean, now during the winter, reminding their students that if they haven't registered yet for spring, that might be a good idea.
Very good.
And
That's,
always,
that's exactly what's happening with a lot of our surrounding districts that are seeing enrollment
Yeah.
going down. Their fund is declining, so their full-time faculty obligations going down, and
Mhm.
they're hiring less.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
exactly what's happening.
And some are not even hiring at all?
Right.
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's important to note that, statewide, there's been a drop in enrollments, and that was all occurring at most colleges,
Yeah.
starting, two to a year and a half ago.
Right.
That wave hit Pasadena City College late.
Mhm.
So we've been able to stay ahead of that and do
Well,
okay.
let's try in this way that we ride this wave.
Well,
We don't let it hit us, we ride it.
We have not been hit by the wave yet. We are trying really hard to keep our balance on that surfboard
Right.
and keep moving
There we
forward.
go. That's exactly what I want us to be able to do. Right? But Mark is smiling. That's a good analogy, right, Mark?
But besides all the various factors that impact why students choose not to come to community college, another important one is the promise. And obviously we have a promise that we're using to attract our students, and so do all of the surrounding colleges around us.
But they don't have a promise as good as ours.
Well, but now
Right.
many of those students who were choosing to drive by their local community college, some of them are having second thoughts about it, because if they come here, our promise doesn't cover them. If they stay there, their promise does cover them.
Believe
And
me,
so-
they will. Some of them will just make
Some,
sure that
some will
yeah.
still come, but I'm
Right.
just saying that is one of the factors
Right.
that probably is
Yeah.
impacting.
Right.
our
Let's
enrollment.
hope. All right. Now there is I know the case of a district that have that are now 58 faculty over fund,
Yeah.
and they don't know how to get rid of the faculty because they can't hire, and they don't know how they're going to meet payroll. 58 faculty over fund.
Who is this?
I can tell you. It's a district that is not far from here.
Uh-oh.
All right.
That narrows it down.
Right. Student affairs update. Right.
I'll start with
Rolling
our plan for helping with enrollment. There is going to be registration support in the L building Monday through Thursday from 8 to 4:30, 7, and Friday 8 to 4. And we are hosting a Cash for College and instant registration event on Saturday, February 10th, from 9 to 2. And we've sent 5,500 text messages to students who were enrolled in fall and have not yet registered for spring. We also want to draw your attention to a new website that was created, pasadena.edu/open classes. So it's very easy for you to share that with students. If they don't want to sit and scroll through the class schedule, just go to the pasadena.edu/open classes page. We also created a new webpage specifically for future students regarding spring. And that lists the different events that we have with the registration support center hours. The PR office is sending out 200,000 postcards to local residents that are publicizing these services and that we have classes available. We have Facebook ads in place, and these are Facebook ads that we utilize through geofencing. So looking at people within our zip codes and looking at a certain age demographic. And so if you happen to be looking at Facebook, PCC ad will appear on your feed. Okay, so it's a really smart way to target the people that we think can enroll here at PCC. We have bus king-size posters going up, Metro rail cards, Metro shelters. And another campaign that we're doing is for our current students who are enrolled in less than 12 units. That, in reaching as well as outreaching. So the campaign we're running for our current students who are enrolled in less than 12, it's called Add One. Just add one more class. And so that's another way to pick up enrollments. We are also exploring a reverse transfer program. So these are students who have transferred to an institution and they didn't get their associate's degree before they left. If they send their transcripts back to us, or if we facilitate obtaining those transcripts, then we can award them their associate degree. And so we're looking at that. We're also researching how to do a return and complete program. So there are many students who live in the nearby area who have attended PCC and then maybe, went off and started working or tended to their families. And so we want to bring them back so that they can return and complete their
Dr. Oliver,
program.
what about students who started in a four-year school and then did not complete? Are we reaching out to them?
Yes.
Just those who did never attended a community
Right.
college?
Yes.
They went straight to four-year colleges, but then they dropped after the first year?
Right. Data shows that most of, for example, when we were first working with PUSD on dual enrollment, that's part of the data we utilized to develop that relationship and trust.
Right.
Most of their students who go away to four-year schools, the data revealed that they did come here. So yes, that's definitely a
I
pocket.
target them too, yeah. All right.
So these are some of the efforts that we have underway. I will ask that faculty, and I've mentioned this to Dr. Junie, if we have capacity within programs, so that means seats and courses, we definitely welcome the faculty to come and help us answer questions for students interested in specific programs. I will give you a good example. We shouldn't go out and say, come to our nursing program, because we have hundreds of people right in line for nursing. But if there are geosciences, for example, a lot of students are not aware about the geosciences. That leads to good paying jobs. That leads to also transfer majors at universities. We would welcome you to help us. Please come and
When will
answer
you be doing that?
questions. Saturday, February 10th.
Okay. Many of you will be upset with me right now because I didn't consult with all of you, and I'm going to just say that right now with Mark there. For any faculty who shows up on that day to help, right, we'll give them $100.
Great. Awesome.
Any faculty who shows up on that day to talk about their program,
Yes.
all right, to help us market the program and talk about the program, and they make a commitment to stay 3 hours with your people there,
Sure.
give them $100.
Great.
Where is it?
Right here. In
Oh, I see, already, you see, all right, there you go, Shayla's interested, right there.
Beautiful.
That's great.
Well, we have to get the
Yes.
word out.
It is. They're
Yes.
right here in the-
Gosh,
All right,
Thank you.
is that good?
Yes.
Would that help?
Yes.
All right,
Payable in
also
PCC
want-
pins?
I also.
yes, Lenora?
Yeah.
Sorry,
That's okay.
when you say any faculty who shows up, and then Dr. Olivo had specified programs that still have room, so how do we find out which programs still have room?
It doesn't matter, room or no room, just,
You
if
just,
they show up.
anybody,
We
like
can
seriously,
start-
anyone.
They- But they have to be sitting there and talking about the program that they are in.
Okay.
And talking to students.
Okay.
Right.
Is
Not
that
just-
full-time?
If they come and then they come and sit in their office for 3 hours, we get
Just
nothing.
full-time.
You have to check in and we have to
It
see them
needs to be
working there,
clarified.
they're talking
Yeah,
to
it's-
students and so on.
Is this adjunct faculty as well?
Or just-
Anybody, but no, I'm not too sure about that, we have to figure
Yeah,
out, but there have to be people that know the
Right.
program, that's a
Yeah.
different thing, you know. Yeah.
It's complicated because there are adjuncts who run programs.
I mean, I'm
Yeah.
saying, I mean, that's what I'm saying, that is something that the vice president can, all I'm making commitments that, I'll make that happen, all right?
We can
Too many
work
questions.
away.
He said any faculty that show up get paid $100, okay?
Well, now you made, you
Now
asked
you
me questions.
qualified it down to, so nobody's gonna show up.
All right, so I think that would be
Thank
very
you.
helpful to have
Thank you.
faculty present on that day to really
We can work.
sell our program.
What day is that?
Thank you.
Yeah, we need to,
Saturday,
so we
February
need to
10th.
work together to
Yeah.
send this announcement
Yeah,
out.
sure.
We'll
Okay.
need something to send.
Well, don't overwork that now, just make it get started.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's great.
yeah.
I mean, this has proved to be really successful. In the past, when I've worked at Cal State San Bernardino, enlisting faculty to speak about programs,
Mhm.
it helps with enrollment.
Right.
Crystal?
I just wanted to add that we're also in the middle of a qualitative study where we're reaching out and talking to students who dropped all their classes before the first day, and we're doing phone interviews with them, asking them why
Mhm.
they did that, what were the barriers, and would they be willing to come back. So we're getting some really good information on that. So far, we've talked to 40 students, which we think is a pretty amazing amount.
Yeah.
That's
It's
good.
great, and you know, I'm also looking at a list of students that had financial holds and making recommendations on changing that procedure.
Mhm.
We shouldn't have students not be able to register because they have a financial hold if we know they're getting financial aid, because that will cover that debt.
Right, right.
So that's another 1,400 students that we could help register for spring. I also want to make sure that this goes on record so that any undocumented student or ally of undocumented student understands we have $125,000 of emergency aid available.
Mhm.
So if there are undocumented students who have not registered for spring due to fear about what the future holds for Dreamers, please do not fear. Come and speak with anybody in student services, and we'll direct you to Carol Brown, who can help you access emergency aid. The only requirement is to fill out a DREAM Act application, and it's very simple form to fill out.
Is this now open as a program?
Absolutely, yes. Uh-huh. And there's no limitation. Just tell us what your need is and we can help you. And there is a student who needed help filling out their DACA extension form. And so we're providing the funds needed for that, just as an example. So that's enrollment. I will hand this out. I did want to mention our Lancer Food Pantry is celebrating 1-year
Yeah,
anniversary.
that's all
We are encouraging you to please donate some food. And our hours are mostly in the afternoon on Monday, Tuesday in the morning,
Mhm.
Wednesday afternoon, Thursday morning. And we're closed for winter, but spring will have
I
expanded
see
hours.
the Lancer Pantry is hiring.
We are. We have 2 college
Mhm.
assistant positions
Yeah.
available,
That's all
or
right,
professional
yeah.
experts.
Mhm.
So the last thing I want to say is students should pick PCC for many reasons, but one of them happens to be that we awarded 800 associate degree for transfers to students last year. That put us at the number 2 spot in the entire state. The college that did better than us only awarded 24 more degrees,
Nice.
and that's Diablo Valley,
Mhm.
way far away from here. The college closest to us that awarded 63 less than us is in Orange County. And so PCC.
That's OCC, right? Orange Coast, right? Yeah.
We do a lot better than most colleges. So we try very hard through innovation and collaboration with faculty, student services, to really make that effort to help our students succeed. So I think that's extremely important. If you want to see all the numbers, I can share this with you.
Cynthia, I think a really important number that you should add to that is
Yeah.
of all of the colleges on that list, we have the highest number of transfers
We do.
to the CSU. And so we're maybe only second in awarding ADTs, but we're number one in transfer to the CSU, so.
Yeah, and
that's,
so
I have a
last,
question.
sure.
Why is it, I've seen all these ads all over buses and stuff for Santa Monica saying they're the highest.
Do you know why, Mark? Because they only count UC.
Oh,
Yeah.
those.
So they're
sneaky
saying,
buggers.
so
They are
they're saying they're the highest to UCLA.
Yeah.
I kind of couldn't remember specifically with you. I just remember seeing the Santa Monica
Well,
ads.
if I had to
Yeah.
transfer, then in little letters, UC.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, maybe
Oh, they're
that's
so,
what it
they're
is.
so close, you know, in proximity.
Yeah.
What do our UC admissions look like?
I can get the data. We have really great numbers. I mean, when you put both of it together, we're great.
Actually, as you bring up Santa Monica College, if you look at honors students that get accepted by UCLA, Santa Monica College is number one, but so we're number two in that. But what's more important is that a higher percentage of our students that apply through the honors program are accepted
Yeah.
than Santa Monica. So
Yeah.
Santa Monica only beats us because they have
Sheer numbers.
because of sheer numbers. Our students are sought after because they're basically a higher quality student, and UCLA sees that. So,
Is that our entire population or just our honor students?
well, that's the honors. I'm just saying that that's the honors
Honors
students,
and
but.
How large is honors?
1,000, over 1,000 students. So our honors program is larger than most community colleges. And we've done that at a rapid pace compared to other colleges. So. I would say the other important piece of info is that we will submit our integrated plan for student success. It was approved last night, and we're really excited about it. And I'm thankful to Dr. Storty and his team for helping us with a few facilities projects. Our Veterans Resource Center expansion is expected to be completed this spring. And then I'm not sure if everyone's aware, but over the past 3 years, we've grown our Pathways program from first year to second year and now third year. We have almost 5,000 students in a pathway. And so our Pathway Center expansion, it will be completed in spring. And it's really great because now in the state of California, we hear guided pathways, you know, as a movement. And so our Pathways program fits perfectly within the guided pathways framework that we're working on. And Dr. Junie, we applied for a guided pathways grant and were awarded it.
So the state has basically a fund. It's not really a grant, but a fund to support guided pathways in the various community colleges. And there's a number of criteria that colleges have to do to be awarded that money, and we are in the process of doing all of those. And so at this point, they have identified the amount that each college will receive, assuming all 114 of the colleges jump through all the hoops they have to. And so at a minimum, it's, I believe, right around $2.3 million over 5 years that we'll get. That will not go down, but might go up, because if all 114 don't meet the criteria, then there will be extra funds that will be allocated. And so yes, we are moving forward with that. We haven't received any of that money yet, but we will shortly.
And then we hired a new cross-cultural center coordinator professional expert. You all know Emily Rowe. You remember her? She helped us for a few years. She moved on to full-time employment with a school district. And so we have Javery Baliu And he'll be leading the cross-cultural center, and I'll send out an email so the campus will know where to find him. Faculty can collaborate with him, as you did with Emily. And we have the Dr. Jeanette Mann Foster Youth Center pending for spring, and the Safe Zone Center. We also will continue to work towards that as the Pathway Center expansion is completed. And that's all.
Thank you. Any question for Dr. Olivo? Dr. Story?
I'd like to provide more detail on the January proposed budget that was issued by the governor on January 10th. So overall, it's good information, but it's also mixed information. The information that Dr. Verdine shared about the U building, it's very disappointing for us here at PCC because it's basically creating a huge hurdle for the U building project that will likely, it's hard to come up with $38 million. So we all know what that means. There's some positive aspects of the budget included in the budget for next year. Currently, there's proposed COLA of 2.51%, which it's a fairly decent COLA compared to what we've seen in the past. Last year was 1.56%, and several years before that, we did not receive any COLA. So if it materializes, that would be good news. There's also growth funding of 1%. However, the governor is proposing that we change the funding model for all community colleges. Currently, we use Senate Bill 361. The Chancellor's Office uses SB 361 to allocate funds to different community colleges. And how that works is each college receives a basic allocation depending on its size. So there's either small, medium, or large community colleges. So you get a set amount based on your size, and then the remainder is distributed based on FTES generated. So as long as you're generating your target FTES, you receive a certain amount of funding. This has been in effect for more than 10 years. But what's proposed for next year, fiscal year 2018-19, is a funding model that's more performance-based in nature. The governor and Department of Finance are looking to go more toward the direction that K-12 districts are using, performance-based under the local control funding formula. And the new method would allocate 50% of the funding based on FTES, 25% based on completion, which is degree completion and transfer rate, and then 25% is based on the economic factors of the district that we're serving. So just to give you an idea, 1% change is approximately $1 million. So if our district is serving an area where economic conditions are better off than others, we could see a dip in that percentage, and likely that will happen because much of our area is affluent areas, and the intent is to fund districts with a lower economic background makeup so that they can improve their success rates. And then on the completion rate as well, so our degree completion, our transfer, if we dip 1%, that's $1 million cut in our budget. And we talked about good news about how many degrees we're awarding and the transfer, but when you look at the number of students we're serving, is that number really a strong number compared to our competition?
Because Dr. Olivo was saying, we tied for second place with an institution that is slightly bigger than a third of our size. If a student that serves only 12,000 students is giving 800 associate degrees for transfer, and we serve 28,000 students and we give the same number of associate degrees for transfer, there is a problem. Okay. So we need to figure out, and I applaud the work done by the vice presidents and the deans in working with the Center for Urban Education to bring experts to campus to work with our faculty and staff to see how we can better work with our students. What are some of the changes we can be doing as we work with our students so that we can see the number of degrees awarded going up?
Is this
Sheila,
this-
you want to add something?
I'm just wondering, is this the 6-year cohort data? So this is kind of the 11
It's just the raw counts for 15-16 academic year, but
It's just the raw count, it's not the
probably
6-8.
why the
Okay.
governor
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
proposing
Uh-huh.
performance-based funding, because Mount Sac, who has 36,000 students,
Mhm.
bigger than us, they only awarded 427 associate degrees. So we can all do better.
Yes.
And we must, and I think
Mhm.
performance-based funding
Yeah.
maybe could set those conditions for us to really strive to do
Right.
better.
Now, I talked to Mount Sac about that. So the president said to me, well, we got a much bigger non-credit program than you have. So even though we have 36,000 students, our for credit students are only 24,000 or 23,000. You will notice that their fund is based on credit. You will notice that the fund is not that much bigger than ours, probably about 10, 12 faculty more than we have, even though they serve 36,000 students, you know. So that is something that, and I applaud the work that you're doing in bringing the experts in to work with us so that we can make those appropriate changes, you know.
Yeah, so it's huge potential changes in the funding. Next year, it goes into effect according to the proposed budget. However, next year, we will be held harmless. So, you know, let's say we have a dip in our funding as a result of the new formula, we'll still receive funding based on SB 361. But the
then-
year after that,
That's it.
that's it, then we'll be held accountable to that. So we just really need to focus on, what we're here to do, and I know that's what everybody's doing, but now the funding is tied to that, so it's even more critical that we do that.
So Dr. Shorty, have they indicated when the formula for the 25% based on completion and the 25% based on economic factors will be released?
We're expecting trailer bill language to be released by Sacramento before the May revise, but it
Right.
could come in sometime around the May revise.
Well, the CEO board has set up a team of people to address that, to work on a funding formula, and then to liaise with the Department of Finance. But from what I'm seeing and what I'm hearing, the Department of Finance will do what the Department of Finance wants to do.
Yeah.
You can spin your wheel all you want in there and say, well, all right, thank you, I've listened to you, this is it. So this is what it seems like to me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm hearing the same thing.
Yeah.
Also in the budget, there's a sizable amount of instructional equipment, scheduled maintenance dollars. So we could receive approximately $4 to $5 million for that. That's one-time funding that needs
That
to
won't
be.
be enough for the U building, right?
There's a slight deficit in that.
Oh, okay.
But it is good news for our programs. And that really, that's all the information about the budget. Does anyone have any questions about the proposed budget that I can answer at this time? Still a proposed budget. We'll expect a revision in May, and then following that, the final budget is adopted by the end of June. Dr. Olivo mentioned the BRC. Both the BRC and TLC Pathways project are currently in hold at DSA. We're working with our architects and consultants with DSA to get those moving. We're hoping within a couple of weeks, but
I think by the end of next week, we should be okay.
I hope so.
I think by the end of next week.
I do have a question. I believe Todd was meeting with someone today at 10?
We've been
Is
meeting
that-
on Todd was
Okay.
meeting with our
Yeah,
architect,
so we were waiting on an
PBWS.
update from him.
Right.
We're chomping.
Yeah,
And they will get that appointment for the over-the-counter approval.
okay,
Yeah.
right.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Since they cut in the U building for about 50%, 50% is a huge amount. It's like, I want you to buy a Ferrari and I give you for a Toyota. It's something like that, yeah. So
What's
it
wrong with
doesn't-
Toyota?
What's wrong with Toyota? But now I'm forcing you to buy a Ferrari anyway with that money.
So funny.
That's what it is, yeah.
They forcing you to
Mm.
buy a Ferrari anyway with
Yes.
with an amount for a Toyota.
Mhm.
So it's not a mistake with the Toyota. It's the problem that I have in my mind with the people. How they came to this conclusion, because we vote for that money, so the state get us in trouble.
Mhm.
The whole state, we have, the taxpayers, we have to pay the money at the end. The state get the money, and they supposed to give us, give to the community this money, and now they got it 50%. 50% is a huge amount. So how they come to this conclusion?
Well, this is a very simple answer to that. there are rules and regulations on how you can ask the state for funding. There are some priorities that the state looks at. But at the same time, to go with what you just said, that taxpayers contribute money and therefore they need to get money for their own buildings. There is something regressive in that. In the sense that if we go along with what you're just saying, there are some areas of the state that will receive practically nothing. There are many districts that are socially, economically underprivileged. They do not have the kind of funding. They do not have the kind of taxpayer base to do anything. I'm thinking of Imperial Valley. I'm thinking of parts of San Bernardino. I'm thinking probably the top 30% of our state. When you look at the map, areas like Siskiyou, Yuba, up north, they will never have anything because they don't have the taxpayer base. So when the state therefore distributes that money, the state thinks about how can we maximize that so that we can serve the greatest number of people. The two districts mentioned in the governor's budget were San Francisco and Pasadena. Pasadena and San Francisco are two of the richest areas of this state. Pasadena, for example, has the top in the top 100 schools nationwide. 100 school districts nationwide. Pasadena has 4. Arcadia, South Pass, San Marino, La Cañada, Flint Ridge. San Francisco is one of the richest areas in the whole nation. Okay? And yet look at how much money they are asking. Pasadena is taking $60 million. San Francisco is taking $100 million. That's $160 million out of $2 billion allocated for community colleges. So what will the other districts get when they don't have the kind of tax base that we have? So in any democracy, the state looks at helping people in such a manner that those that are way down there can climb up. And those that are way up there and enjoying all the great amenities, that they can perhaps spend a little bit more of their own money to maintain their standard of living, so that the people way down there that are living in dirt and extreme poverty can move a little bit up and also enjoy that. So I don't mean it exactly like this, but this is a little bit the philosophy behind what states do. And I cannot say this is good, I cannot say this is bad, but if we want the whole state to prosper, and I think I've heard Dr. Olivo mention that on many occasions, how can we put a little pedestal in front of some people so that they too can move up? When you lift something, you try to lift everybody up. But in that lifting, some people may not get as much. Okay. So I hope that the explanation helps.
I hope that's what it is.
Yes.
I just had a comment about that prioritization list. You would think that if that is in fact their thinking, that maybe they want to develop a different way to prioritize funding projects. Because we've been on that list for a very, very long time.
Well,
and
yes and no. Yes and no, because we made a case on that building. The case that that building has to be shut down. Safety. Okay? And that building has been shut down for many years. Right? And during that period, most districts in affluent areas like us have passed multiple bond measures Long Beach City College between 2003 and 2017 passed 3 bonds, raising in total $1.8 billion. North Orange County passed 2 bonds, raising $900 million. Glendale, Citrus, Mount Sac, Santa Monica. LA raised close to $9 billion. And what did we do?
And I think that should be our
$170
strategy.
million in 2003? Huh? No, but those are considerations, you know. And the governor has always made it very clear. The governor has always made it very clear. Some districts are affluent and they don't need that money. They can raise their own money to build their infrastructure. If the state does anything, the state will do it for the poor districts, for areas where they do not have the tax base to raise money. And I mean, there's a sense of social justice that we need to think of. Right? There is a sense of social justice that we need to think of. We are in a district that has a bonding capacity of $1.8 billion. That's the bonding capacity of the Pasadena Area Community College District. $1.8 billion. Right? So that's all I'll say. Anything else for Dr. Stoll?
That concludes my report.
All right. Well, I concluded your report for you.
Thank you.
All right. Okay.
Thank you, thank you.
All right, let's move on to the old items, information only. All right. You want to take over, Kristen?
Sure, well, we've been working on this one for a while, it's the administrator hiring procedure, and since I sent this out to you, we now have a new interim vice president of human resources, Linda Beam, and she contacted me and said I needed to make additional changes. She said according to Ed Code, there's no such thing as permanent administrators or managers, so I had to remove the word twice from the hiring procedure where it said permanent, so I've done that, I've taken it out. And that's the only change I've made.
Now remember that, any administrator or manager.
Yeah, you don't count so
I'm
much.
sure you knew it, but you
Yeah.
kind of never paid attention to it.
No,
You can have a 5-year contract
did.
or a 3-year contract or a 10-year contract. In fact, your contract is good for only a year. And you're all at will employees,
Yes.
including me. All right.
So some of what we did in here was just codify some things to follow Ed Code with regards to appointments of acting and interim management positions.
Mhm.
We made some changes to the composition of the hiring committee and just made some additional on how we'll announce positions and of course the selection and the superintendent, the interviews, and how the selection is actually made.
Can I see the portion on selecting the hiring committee, please? Is there some reason for the movement from 3 to 2 for faculty?
Pardon me?
I'm looking at it right now.
It's 3C.
Oh, sorry.
On
The hiring committee for,
Yeah.
okay, the hiring committee will consist of members as follows, including at least one member of a historically underrepresented group, a committee chair appointed by the superintendent president or designee, 4 administrators appointed by the superintendent or designee, 2 faculty appointed by the academic senate, 1 classified staff appointed by the classified senate, 1 staff member appointed by the collective bargaining unit whose members comprise the majority of the. So that person gets back there, that faculty member, depending on, let's say, you are hiring a dean, there will be a 3rd faculty member there, right? Because a dean works directly with the faculty, so the faculty will get that one. And if, for example, you are hiring somebody in an administrator in the facilities, so then that additional staff member in that case will be a classified staff. We wanted to distribute that evenly.
Is point E a new line in this?
No, it's not actually, that was there before.
So there's still a reduction.
Yes.
Either way you slice it, there's a reduction in the number of faculty and the number of classified staff.
Well, I guess in that case, yeah, there is a reduction, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, the increase is for administrators, and that even though it's a management position, for some reason management wasn't the majority of the actual.
Right.
We're not even close to even,
Right,
not even the majority, but equal to the amount of other representatives on the actual committee. So it's a matter of, in order to, the only real place where we can still be in line with whatever stuff we had to follow, we did increase the, again, having, on behalf of the Management Association, we did increase the amount of administrators on the hiring committee, and because we still had to have, obviously, classified representative, student representative, it was decided to take off one of the faculty, because again, I guess it would be, depending on the management position, whether it be an academic dean or a classified, it'd be a different person on there, but again, in order to actually not have this be as a massive committee as it doesn't need to be, we decided to increase the amount. That way, if you notice, there's 4 administrators, but there's also going to be 2 faculty, 1 manager. In other words, the ratio from administrators to actual classified faculty is about the same now.
No, what I just see here is a doubling of the number of administrators and a reduction of both classified and faculty.
I understand that's what it is, but beforehand, again, there wasn't as many managers as there should have been. Again, we've been hiring a management position.
Sure,
So
and
what-
so why couldn't we just increase
well,
the number of
we
managers?
could, if you
and
want,
the number of
one thing we could do
Why?
is we can keep the faculty at 3, and then I'll bring the administrators up to 5.
That,
We're gonna have to say-
you're
See,
gonna
the
make
reason
the
why it's-
size of the
Then the committee would be very big.
Exactly,
Yeah,
and
we
that's
try
why
to make
it's-
it a smaller committee. Right?
I mean,
It's always tough enough to get, as somebody who
Yes.
appoints managers to hiring committees, it's very tough to get
Mhm.
people on hiring committees, and I'm sure
Who's the chair? Is it a manager?
that's a designee, yes,
Okay, so we have a manager that's not counted in the 4,
right.
Yes.
right?
So there's 5, there's
So-
5.
No, the, one of the 4 is the chair.
No.
No?
No.
Committee chair
So there
appointed
are
by
already
the
5.
superintendent
Mhm.
is the
Or
first
just
5
person.
managers.
Where do you see that? Oh, the committee
There.
chair appointed by the superintendent. But it doesn't say that.
So it could be a faculty
It could,
member.
it could be a faculty member
But what's the
also.
reality of that? I mean, when this
Yeah,
actually plays out
it's-
at the end of the day, the reality of that, I would imagine, is quite slim. And so from a faculty perspective,
Mm.
I'm deeply concerned about the lack of representation that
Let's
faculty
take that
in
back
our
and
office.
rethink it. Yeah, let's.
The whole point of this, as Tito was saying, is so that management has more control over the hiring of managers. And so basically, if you do the count, there are 5 administrators on this committee, and there are 5 non-administrators on this
So
committee.
it's equal.
So it's equal.
It's equal.
If you either decrease the number of administrators or increase the number of any other of the other constituency groups, then there will be fewer
Right.
administrators
Okay.
than all the other votes that are there.
So then that's
And
good.
so
That's
it-
50-50.
there is strong rationale of why to do
Okay.
this,
So
but the
5
only
and
way this
Right.
could happen, the other way of doing this would have been, you could have left 3 faculty, but then you would have needed 5 administrators in regard to the other, and then the committee is getting too big. I mean, it
Yeah.
would be impossible to schedule meetings.
Yeah.
And depending on how many administrative hires are happening, it would be very difficult to get. I mean, it's going to be hard to get 4 administrators, let alone to get 5 plus the chair.
And I understand that position. My function on this committee is to represent the
I
faculty,
understand
and I
that.
cannot vote in favor of a
It's not a
diminished
vote, it's
faculty
it's
capacity.
No, this is not a vote.
But
this
it's
is
an information item,
Yeah.
so I will advocate for maintaining a strong faculty presence on these committees. That's my
We can,
job.
like I said, we can add that, get the faculty back on and add an administrator, so that to maintain that balance of 50-50. Because in faculty hiring, it's, you have a significantly higher number of faculty.
Because it
than-
requires discipline expertise.
Well, over here, we are hiring an administrator, so it requires administrative expertise that administrators display. So we use the same rationale that you use, right, for discipline expertise. But then again, I would dispute the discipline expertise, because there are many disciplines where we do not have enough faculty in that discipline, so you bring in people from other areas that do not have discipline expertise, but they have teaching expertise.
Those are very rare circumstances.
I can mention many to you right now. I can mention welding.
They're certainly not in the majority.
Maybe not in the majority, but I can have many disciplines that I can bring to your attention right now. Yeah.
I'm kind of confused on this breakdown. You're saying it's 50-50 now?
Yes.
Right now, it's
How
going
is
to be
it
50-50.
50-50?
So you have
There are
committee chair and
5.
administrator, 4, that's 5.
Right.
Right.
Then you have, again, this is administrators and other representatives, so now you have 2
Right.
faculty.
So you're saying
Plus
that
one
all the other
classified
representatives
are 5.
are equal to the administrators?
Right.
Are equal the amount of people
Yeah.
actually
Why,
there.
why?
Why is it?
I mean,
3, 4, 5.
so you're saying that like the faculty, the classified staff, and the students are all gonna be on basically one side, and the administrators are gonna be on the other side?
Not necessarily, no.
Not
Well,
necessarily.
then but it's sure not, it's clearly
Yeah.
not equal though.
What do you mean? Why do you say it's
No,
not
you're-
equal?
You're right, it's
It's
not.
not
It's
equal,
not
it's
equal.
like you got 50,
Well-
you got 5 administrators, 3
Yeah,
faculty,
no.
1 staff, 1 student.
The
You
rationale.
have 4 disparate areas that are
Right.
taught, that are, have a say in this, but yet one area has the vast majority of
the
power.
ra-
I mean, in
the
that case, why have
rationale.
anybody else serving?
Right, yeah.
The-
If it's always gonna be that the administrators outvote everyone
But
else.
it doesn't make,
Then there's
that's
no
not
reason
shared
for
governance, I'm
anyone
sorry.
else.
Well,
It's
I mean,
not
it-
even close.
It's the argument that the administrators here made earlier on is the same thing in faculty hiring. The administrators have absolutely no say. The faculty always pick who they want to move
The
forward.
administrators have no say until you get to the second and final level,
The
then you
third
have
level.
all the say.
And,
What do
and
you
the third
mean?
level.
The third
You
level,
were- you
not the
were the
second level, the
gatekeeper.
third.
How is
Yeah,
that
you make
possible?
the ultimate
You're
But
the
I
one
need
who
to
makes
say
the
that-
ultimate decision, yet you're
What-
saying you have, the
what
administrators
happens
have
is that
no say?
Before you get to that last level, it's entirely who the faculty want to send that gets there.
Exactly, well, that's fine, and that's fine.
So
but
then
there's
why is it
still-
then-
You still have an
Now-
administrator that's
now-
making that
Okay,
decision.
let me ask you this question now. So then why would you have a problem with here, this is an administrative position, why shouldn't the administrators have a say in who gets to the third
Because
level?
there's no ultimate gatekeeper at the top to keep that from happening.
They still have to go.
The faculty they're not allowed to come in at the last minute and say, sorry, we don't want the person.
Yeah, but still, the 2 or 3 faculty that the faculties move forward are who they want to see. It doesn't really matter which one gets the job. It will be the 2 or 3 faculty that the faculty have identified and moved forward
It absolutely.
over the objections of faculty, of administrators.
It absolutely matters. And we can look at historically, a couple of
Yeah.
years ago, where 2 administrators dug in and overrode the vote of all the faculty on the committee on the rubric.
On the
In a faculty hiring committee.
on the candidates that will move forward.
Yes, yes. And so the faculty who wanted particular candidates move forward,
Mm.
their wishes were not heeded because of administrators
That's more of
on
an
that committee.
exception than the rule.
But it still occurred, and
Yeah,
you
that-
ultimately
this
have
is
the
more of an
final
exception. I
say.
mean, this probably could happen here too.
But I think it's more of the exception than the rule that you have an administrator that's completely run over by faculty in a faculty hiring committee. Most faculty hiring committees I've been on, the administrator has thought down the same line as the faculty. It's pretty rare that the administrator says, no, we don't want this person at all, and all the faculty are saying, oh, that's too bad, we want this person. That's the exception.
That's the exception.
Yes.
Maybe
And I
we
will
could-
say
Joe,
again,
how many times have you been on a faculty hiring committee where the faculty just said, we don't care who you want, we're just gonna go with this person? Ever?
What did you say? I didn't hear what Joe said. Has it ever happened?
Joe's trying to remain neutral.
Well, I'm trying to remain neutral. What I'm trying to figure, you're trying to paint it both ways. And on one side, it's a very positive and progressive manner of hiring.
Most of the
that we
time,
move
yeah.
through. And then the other one, where we're all adversarial. And we're all trying to conspire to produce the worst result in your estimate. And I don't accept that kind of binary way of defining the policy as we look at it there.
and I will say, as Lenore was mentioning again, even, well, both you as well, on management committees that I've been on, as we've been united with the faculty and everybody, and we have sent somebody up, and same thing like you guys, it hasn't shut down, so it's not just faculty as
Right.
far as getting the choice. It's just a matter of us getting them together up to the next level, and after that, it's not our call. But one of the things that you will see moving down, one of the things that we did put is number 7. It said none of the finalists is acceptable. This is something new. So, Superintendent President, for reasons shared with the selection committee, the process will be closed in position re-advertised. Again, it's going back to something that actually giving more voice
Well,
to the
that's
actual
status
committee.
quo, that's still, it's
The
still.
actual being shared, that's not necessarily been the case, so it's something that we want to make sure that was written in there specifically, at least for us. I'm
Well,
not sure.
so,
what
well,
the
then
faculty
my
will.
question would be, why does this need to be changed then? If everything's fine, why does this need to be changed? Why did these numbers
For
need
the
to be
argument
changed?
that Terry and Tito brought forward.
Yes.
But yeah, but I mean,
That was too big.
is this just something you perceive could happen, or is this based on actually?
When was the last time this AP was redone?
So it happens, and so in my short time here, with our current makeup of committees, the finalists that are sent forward to the second level was controlled by faculty wishes as opposed to management wishes. And I understand you're not happy that we're proposing this change. It's an information item, it's not a vote. But it's important to note that both the faculty that are concerned with this have absolutely no issue with the rationale that in a faculty hiring, faculty have control of who is sent to the final level. Yet they're opposed to management having control on who's sent to the final level for a management hire. That doesn't make sense. You can't have your cake and eat it too. If it's okay for faculty to have control to hire faculty, then why isn't it okay for management to have control on who's hired as a
And
manager?
in this one, management doesn't really have control because it's 5-5. Right?
That would assume that every other member on the committee that's not management somehow is colluding to derail the wishes of the administrators, which, I find I think that's insulting. I'll just put that out there. But B, no, the president still has the final say, and so it's still an administrative and
has
executive decision, and if he hates all of those candidates, then he rejects the pool, and the process starts over. Right, so it's still, at the end of the day, fully within administrative control, who's hired as a manager.
Not necessarily, because you're right, the president can shut it down if he does not agree with any of the finalists. But it could be that there was a finalist that he might have been okay with, but they weren't sent forward because the managers didn't have control of who was sent forward.
They didn't have the votes to move the person
And
forward.
so you're right, and so then if he shuts it down, we go out and do it again, and so then you do it again, and you send the same people forward, and he shuts it down, and so we could get.
That's assuming the
Did you get the
constituency of the
person
hiring
But
committee
that
is the same.
but Lenora, that's what you and Mark are arguing for, are the extreme outlying cases where things could go this way. Those should be rare, and
I agree.
and so
So my only contention is it's my function here to advocate for not a decrease in faculty representation, certainly, and so that's my position on this issue, and that is my job. That's what I was elected to
So
do.
what would be
And
your
so I will-
recommendation?
To keep
How
it-
would you?
To keep the faculty appointments at 3, to not reduce the number of faculty on the committee. And if that
Okay.
means increasing the number of administrators, then fine, but I will never argue for a decrease in faculty
Okay.
representation.
I think that's a good
Okay,
compromise.
that's it. I mean, we
So,
can. Yeah?
one more addition to that,
Uh,
D, not to decrease the classified either.
Yeah.
well, so I'm going to make two suggestions to
Okay.
you.
All right.
You either send this back for further conversation,
Okay.
or you basically accept it as it's presented and take note of all the comments that were done, but this is an information item only. And-
No, it
and
is
so-
an information
and-
item.
And so
Yeah.
if you have heard something in this conversation that makes you believe that it needs to go back and there needs to be further conversation about the various points, then do that.
Okay.
But don't sitting here make a promise to a change in this
Okay,
item,
all right, okay.
and send it
What I'm going
forward.
to, what I'm going to, I will go around the room. I know there's no vote taken or anything like that. I'm going to ask each one of you, I don't need your justification, your explanation, or anything. I want to hear from you to tell me, keep faculty, keep classified, increase management, right? Or,
Yay or nay?
It's yea or nay.
Yeah,
Should be yea or nay.
this is too confusing already.
Yeah.
You haven't even explained it, it's confusing.
I haven't explained, it's confusing. All right, I have heard a lot today. I've heard some pretty strong comments coming from two
Faculty advocates.
I didn't say that.
That's
I did not
exactly-
say that. I said from two members of College Council.
Oh,
I mean, I would say three because Ginny, you chimed in at the end on that. All right, so,
What are you talking?
No, I don't.
and I hear everybody, I understand what everybody is going for, and I'm an administrator, and I don't get to see the candidates that perhaps administrators would like to see move forward to the next level, right? And of course, like you all say that the highest gatekeeper is the college president, but the college president is a gatekeeper of only who gets there, right? The college president's got a chance of knowing what are some of the good candidates that were not sent forward, all right? And this is a very interesting composition of the hiring committee. We could perhaps even maybe change the whole committee structure entirely and leave it up to the college president to decide before each position becomes vacant on what the composition of that committee should be, right? Which means that there would be a template as to the inclusive nature of the institution to have representatives from all the groups, but that before each selection, based on the nature of the position that has been vacated and is being filled, the president will establish the composition of the committee that will go forward. Which means that you're not going to have exactly the same committee, because you do not need exactly the same committee to hire a dean as you need a committee to hire a supervisor of, let's say, of the school bank. Those are two completely different functions. You do not need to have the same composition, right? In the school bank, I don't think you would need 4 faculty or 5 faculty or 5 managers or 3 classified employees. These are completely different. To hire somebody who will be the director of the Veterans Resource Center requires a different type of expertise. Okay? That would require same thing with the director of financial aid. Okay? Each position requires a different composition of the hiring committee. You do not need a set form of that. So, I am, you want to say something, I know you've had your hand up.
As a manager here,
Yeah.
president of the Management Association,
Mhm.
and whereas this is an action item,
Mhm.
I support the Junie solution. I think that this is the way to move forward. We can have this discussion, it can be
Mhm.
modified subsequently. I don't know the mechanism or need for that,
Mhm.
but I believe that we're in a real conundrum here in
Yes.
terms of the processes that
Mhm.
we're conducting in this part of College Council.
Okay, what I'm going to do, I will pull that right now. I will bring it back in February, but there will be 3 different types of committees. One for academic administrators, okay? And then one for non-academic administrators. Because they are different. Like the examples I gave you are very different. Would you put 4 faculty members on a committee that is hiring the supervisor of the student bank?
Can I just point something out?
Yes.
Technically, we account for that.
Yeah, I think that's in there.
Because if you look at where E,
Yeah.
so if this is an academic dean, there would be an additional faculty member on the committee. If this was the
Well, what
supervisor.
didn't say that?
No, it's in
Yeah,
there.
one
Well, yeah.
staff member appointed by the collective bargaining unit whose members comprise the majority of those reporting to the
Right.
vacant position.
Yeah.
If it's an academic dean, that's a faculty member. If it's the supervisor of the bank, that's a classified person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we've actually.
But you will still need your 2 faculty on that committee.
There'll be 3 faculty
There will
on
be.
it.
Do you
If
still
it's
need,
academic
do
dean,
you
it's
still need
3.
3 faculty on a committee that will hire the director of the bank?
There will not be 3 faculty.
classified.
It
It
would not, there'd only be 2.
They will still have 2 faculty.
There'll be 2 faculty and 2
Classified.
classified.
Do you still need all those people to hire that position?
I'm not saying.
No, I'm just asking a question, so that's why I want to pull that so that we can take a good look at, I mean, I see Mark is going, no, you don't need all those people on that. Alright?
I would say if it were the director of financial aid, you definitely want a minimum of 2 classified.
And you would.
And that's
And that
exactly
would
what it
happen.
would be.
Yeah,
You
it
would
would
have
be.
That's exactly what it would be.
Yeah,
There will be.
because it's
Yeah.
classified position.
Mhm.
But I would say in that case, not to, shoot the faculty in the feet, in that case, classified might even be more important in terms of representation on that committee than the faculty.
Right.
So, although I appreciate the great effort that was gone into, and I appreciate the position of the managers in the room, there are instances in which I think that we can probably trust each other a little bit more, and I'm concerned that what we're looking at here is we don't want a bunch of non-administrators derailing our process. And I find that a troubling position for this council to take.
So, what I said then, I still maintain what I'm going to do. I will pull this today, but I will bring it back in February. And because I do not see the point in having, for some position, I don't see the need of having 10 people on the committee. For some positions, you will need 10, for others, you may be fine with 5. Okay? So, it would be, well, make it even a little bit easier for the president or his or her designee to have the composition of various aspects of management. The size of, yes, Cindy.
I mean, I'm thinking about my experience chairing administrator hiring committees. The variables required for fair
Mhm.
and appropriate hiring is that the chair must call it out when you see that there's something unfair happening. If individuals, regardless of the category you're coming from, faculty,
Mhm.
classified, student, if you're bringing in information that's not been presented during the hiring process, the chair has to stop that immediately. And you must norm yourself across the expectations that were put forth in the job description and identify how do you pull that out of a resume? How do you get that information through interview questions? And those are part of the variables required. I think why this is coming forward is because the variables as they are with faculty and classified in numbers, the individuals perhaps, may have strayed from what I just described. And so now we're thinking we've got to change the numbers of people that represent those categories, and I don't know that that's just the answer.
That's why I want to pull that out so that we can have, there will be more flexibility from the president and his or her designee as to the size and composition of committees based on positions. Academic administrators, academic managers, because we don't only have academic administrators such as dean, we also have academic managers. I mean, there are many positions that are academically related, but they are managers. And then you have non-academic managers, all right, and so on. So we'll have something that is very flexible, which will not require to have as many people. Joe and then,
Yeah, a point of information, Crystal, has this gone around all the constituency groups?
It doesn't need to go, it's a
Okay.
management procedure.
Mhm.
It's been to the executive committee several times with the adjustments you see here. It's been to the management association
right,
for their adjustments.
Lenore.
And that was one question, whether the Senate had seen this document. And then secondly, I can pretty much guarantee you, if faculty don't find the committee to be within their area of expertise, we don't get volunteers for those, right? And so I think we might be arguing about, oh, too many faculty or whatever. Faculty are not going to volunteer for something that we find ourselves not to be useful in.
Now, it may come back in more or less the same shape in February.
Right.
All right, it may come back in more or less the same shape in February, but at least, well, I'm taking it back to give myself some time to look at it more carefully and to see if there are some other things that can be done.
Thank you for
All
that,
right,
sir.
okay, all right. How about AP 7150?
Yes, this is the performance evaluation of managers. Again, our little new vice president, interim vice president of HR called me and said that she needed a change to be made right here where it says for any area that an evaluator rates as needs improvement, the evaluating administrator will develop a written personal development to include performance. She said I had to add if appropriate. I'll tell you why, but it was interesting. The big change in this one came with what we used to call a holistic and we're now calling the 360 evaluation. Problem is when we instituted this, we did it alphabetically. What happened is apparently more than half of our managers fell in the first third of the alphabet, and so we did a bunch of them. So we changed this for the language you see here, where it's a third of the total. They had to have been with us for a minimum of 3 years. Using the 360 evaluation, human resources will track which administrators will be up for review. We made some changes down here because it got a little unruly. We went from 10 to 8 for academic, for faculty evaluators, and the same for classified. Any questions?
Any question on that?
No, but I received an email from Graciela,
Mm.
and she asked me to represent the classified senate today, sharing with college council that the classified senate approved the AP 7150
Okay.
with the recommendation that the ration of raters be changed from 10 committee members evaluating the administration to a ration of at least 75% of classified representation.
Yes, she sent that to me as well, and I'm not
Okay.
exactly sure why the classified senate took this up because it
Okay,
it's not something that goes out to the shared governance group. Again, this is a management issue.
Okay.
That's just the evaluation managers are talking about how they would be evaluated, and they're incorporating in it the use of the 360,
Right.
okay.
whereas in the past, managers were evaluated without input from other groups, right? They were just evaluated by their supervisors, that's the case,
Right.
right? But now they are asking other groups to give them feedback,
Okay.
all right? So that's out of the, I guess, the kindness of their heart, the
No,
magnanimity.
we used to actually do the 360 evaluation.
But you stopped it.
I didn't.
No, I mean, I didn't mean you know, but it was stopped.
And part of the issue with that is the manager being evaluated chose all of the 360 evaluators.
Okay.
That was a bad team.
No, that's not true.
No,
If I gonna evaluate it, you choose
I
who's
was
gonna evaluate
evaluated
you.
with that.
Uh,
The vice president chose
uh,
20 and you
Okay.
chose 20.
Okay,
And,
All right.
yeah.
So with this one, and then the other thing is I got recommendations from HR where they said it was getting unruly, the amount of the 360
Okay.
people involved in the
Right.
evaluation. But we compromised
Right.
because we had gone to 5 and then we took it back up to 8.
now what people need to know, evaluations are not bad, evaluations are good. Evaluations are positive. You learn about yourselves, right? And then you decide how you're going to work on your strengths or your weaknesses. We should never think of evaluation as punitive. But it's sad enough that not only here, but in most workplaces, people see evaluations as punitive. They want to fire me. That's not true. Evaluations are not done to fire people. They are done to help people be better.
To don't get fired.
and do a better job.
Yeah.
That's all
It's true.
evaluations are for. But I mean, if we go in with that, you know what? I don't want anybody giving me feedback. I don't want anybody evaluating because they don't like me. But you know, I mean, that's not how we should take that. All right. So, anything else with this one? Is that it?
Yes.
Yes. Sir.
I was talking to her earlier, and again, just for consistency basis, doesn't have to happen, but in 3A, I feel like that A point makes more sense being as part of 2C.
Right.
Only because you're describing
Okay.
who the academic senate puts on, who the classified senate puts on, and then the manager, the administrator, who they put on. So having it its own separate thing, I feel like it's
I'll move it up.
yet another.
All right.
That's all. Thank
Okay.
you.
So okay. All right. So we will post this one. 7150 is good for posting.
Mhm.
3004 management role in shared governance.
Bat it around.
All right. So
not a lot
we're
of
giving management a
changes.
role in shared governance. Let's see.
Did the new VP have any changes for this week?
No,
I know.
she was fine with this one, actually.
Smooth.
Yes.
What?
Basically, it was just a little rewording,
Uh-huh.
particularly to add and be given respectful consideration. And then 3, the manager associate is responsible for appointing managers to committee tasks or other groups in consultation with the superintendent, president, or designee.
All right.
That's it.
Anyone have any problem with that? You sure, Jenny? Jeannie, you sure you're okay with that?
I am okay with this one.
Right.
All right. Elaine, you okay
That's my
with that?
seal of approval.
I am.
You sure?
I am certain.
If you ask the student trustee, how you feel about
No,
it?
I think it's interesting that we're talking about that after we just heard that all of this stuff is just for information and it doesn't really matter what we think about it from our VP. That's kind of interesting.
Let's not, let's
We
not.
don't get a
that-
vote. We don't get a
that-
vote.
that's
Oh,
not-
We don't get a
Yeah.
vote, we're just talking about it, it's information only, what's the
But-
point?
But you knew that going into the room, and you knew that
Right,
going in the room
yeah,
15 years ago.
but then we come up with this, and it's like, okay, yeah, this is,
I
really-
understand
this
your
is
point,
sweet,
but I
this
think
is
it's-
sweet, I like this,
This is sweet, all right.
yes. Yes.
So we'll post this one too. All right. Announcements.
If I may,
Uh-huh.
I'm pleased to announce that there are 4 of our classified senators that are participating in the gathering of the senates south
Ah,
at Long Beach City College today.
very good.
Gathering.
All right, excellent.
This just sounds
The
weird.
gathering
I
of
know,
the
the
Senates.
Doesn't that sound
South.
So
strange?
does that mean that, so,
Sounds like a,
oh, sounds
sounds
like
like a river.
because I was thinking that,
Gathering of the
I didn't think that they would have
Sounds
the
like
gathering.
a horror movie.
All right.
The Senate.
I
Yes.
will elaborate on that. Two of the speakers, one will be speaking on meaningful governance, and then the other one, guided pathways in the afternoon. So
Excellent.
it's a repeated
All right.
concern.
Very good.
That's great.
Okay. Anybody else has any announcement?
Yes. More on behalf of the Association of Latino Employees. We had our board meeting yesterday, and there's a lot of stuff going on, but 2 dates coming up. April 10th is they were selected for our Out of Dodger Night, so you'll be hearing about that soon. And on May 16th,
What team does
They
Dodgers
play-
play
yeah,
that
who they
night?
play?
Oakland
That's the
Athletics.
biggest thing.
They play Oakland Athletics.
Yes.
So you pick an easy game.
Yes.
You pick an easy game.
No, we
You
pick
know that
something that
Dodgers will
actually will give profit for the scholarships, and 2, people who actually attend get some, actually literally take something
Yeah, they
physically
will
home.
see a
a
lot of
giveaway.
home runs that day.
So,
What's the giveaway?
Bobblehead.
I wish. It's gotten way too pricey. This time around, it's going to be their first collector's edition of, I'm assuming they just put cards, so I'm assuming it's baseball cards, but from the 50s and 60s.
Oh,
So it's the first
that could be interesting.
So it will be.
You're not going to give them that spinner anymore?
No, that's for the actual members, so anyone else be not a
the actual
member.
member, okay.
Yes, and then the other one is our President Latino Advisory Committee Scholarship
Uh-huh.
is dated for May 16th.
Okay,
It's going to be here in the Krevling Lounge, and we're working on the details of that. But
Very
again,
good.
just something to
yes.
save the date for.
Okay, all right.
Is that scholarship application out already?
Yes, it is.
It is?
We
Okay.
Anything else? No? All right, well, we thank you very much, and we look forward to our next meeting. We hope it is as exciting as this one.